Churchill was a man with indomitable will. No one had ever courage to challenge him. However, Sardar Patel did so. There were two reports published in the Times of India, which I will read to establish my point. Churchill's anti-India outburst, the Times of India, 28 June 1948. Addressing a rally of conservatives yesterday, Winston Churchill accused the socialists who had, on gaining power, threw themselves into the task of demolishing our long built up and splendid structure in the East with zeal and gusto, and they certainly have brought widespread ruin, misery, and bloodshed upon the Indian masses to the extent no one can measure. Power has been recklessly confided to Indian political parties which in no way represent the needs or feelings of the 400 million people who had dwelt so long under the protection of the British Crown. Already, there has been something like a collapse in the process of internal administration, and we must expect an indefinite epoch of terrible religious strife and bigger disasters. We have witnessed the violent action of Mr. Nehru's Hindu government against the Kashmir. Soon the same government, using the modern weapons we left behind, will attack the ancient state of Hyderabad with its 17 million people and overthrow the government of Nizam. Further to above, Churchill was reported to have arrogantly forecast power will go into the hands of rascals, rogues, and freebooters. These are men of straw, of whom no trace will be found after a few years. Patel's smashing reply, reproduced next, silenced the British bulldog, but he took it in a good spirit and told Patel in a message through Anthony Eden on the visit to India that he had thoroughly enjoyed the retort and that he had nothing but admiration for the way the new Dominion had settled down to its tasks and responsibilities, particularly those involved in relations with the Indian states. Churchill even suggested that Sardar should not confine himself within the limits of India, but the world was entitled to see and hear more of him. Patel could not stomach the insult to India as well as to his colleagues in the government of which he was the Deputy Prime Minister. From the sick bed at Dehradun, Patel gave Churchill a blistering reply, calling him what no one else could have ever dared, an unashamed imperialist at a time when the imperialism is on its last legs. In a rare moment of rage, Sardar Patel gave his most stunning reply. I should like to tell His Majesty's government that if they wish India to maintain friendly relations with Great Britain, they must see that India is in no way subjected to malicious and venomous attacks of this kind, and the British statesmen and others learn to speak of this country in terms of friendship and goodwill. Mr. Winston Churchill, His Majesty's Leader of Opposition and Britain's wartime Premier, while bemoaning the disappearance of the title of Emperor of India from the royal titles, has indulged in a characteristically ignorant but extremely prejudiced outburst against the India, its people, and the government. Mr. Churchill is an unashamed imperialist, and at a time when imperialism is on its last legs, He is proverbial last ditcher to whom obstinacy and the dogged consistency means more than reason, imagination, and wisdom. That Mr. Churchill's attack on India and its government is both mischievous and venomous. We were fully aware of the mechanizations of the vested interests both in India and the UK to hand over as difficult a legacy to India as possible. The balkanization of India was being actively promoted. Large scale disturbances were being manufactured. Vandalism at the peak of impeding departure from the scene of the personal rule was actuating many of the Churchillian agents in power here. We therefore decided to drink the bitter cup and accept the lesser evil of partition only on the condition that it commanded the support of all parties. We thought Mr. Churchill was an honourable man and would abide by the obligations inherent in the agreement. If a proof of his deep-seated prejudice and his medieval mind were needed, it would be enough to show that whilst he refers to Kashmir as being 4/5 Muslims, he has omitted to mention that Hyderabad is 4/5 Hindu and that a creation of the 18th century as the Nizam state suddenly by the magic of Mr. Churchill's words transformed into an ancient state. The fact of the matter is, to vary the words of a British statesman, whether Mr. Churchill roars like a lion or coos like a dove, it is his ignorance and blind prejudice that must come out prominently. Churchill took Mr. Patel's counterattack in good spirit, as both the two great men, by conveying a message to him through Anthony Eden, earlier his foreign secretary, who was visiting India, that he had thoroughly enjoyed the retort and that he had nothing but admiration for the way the new Dominion and had settled down to the tasks and responsibilities, particularly those involving relations with Indian states. Churchill had specially said that the Sardar should not confine himself within the limits of India, but the world was entitled to see and hear more of him.